Hello. A few days ago I thought to myself that for really long period of time I didn't make any reviews of full-size headphones, and actually for quite a long time I didn't test it and didn't have any new full-size models. And right next day I received the new creation of iBasso audio full-size headphones, actually, as you can see by this box, model that they've named SR1. As far as I know, this model was in active development for about 2 years. They've experimented with different drivers, with different acoustic treatment, and they've designed headband and so on and so forth. As you can see by the captions on the box, they've used some unusual silicon suspension drivers and Tesla magnetic flux technology and created really good model. But let's speak about it in more details. So what is also really surprising, they really decided not to raise the price. Of course, $500 is the price of this model, and actually it's probably its first limited run. Only 500 pieces of these headphones were released, so actually they can be probably out of stock pretty soon. So $500 isn't the cheapest price, but when I'm looking to the different new models appearing on the market right now, with prices about $200-300, of course not hundreds, $2,000-3,000 and more, and all these limited editions recently announced by one well-known company. Their flagship model, which cost $4,000, they've just used different wood, and now they want $7,000 or $8,000 for this limited edition. It's definitely crazy, but luckily iBasso really humble guys, and they really priced this model very competitive, and it fits this price segment perfectly. And as usual for iBasso, it's offering really good sound quality for this price. Box is fairly traditional. It's made of cardboard, average in size, with all details and technical specifications printed. Here is, for example, schema of this driver that is used in these headphones. On the back side you can find technical specifications. So dynamic transducer, semi-open acoustic design, frequency response from 3 Hz to 40 kHz, 108 dB of sensitivity and 22 ohms of impedance. So this model is pretty sensitive, and that's what I like especially in these headphones. I've seen some opinions that they require a lot of driving power, but I've made some experiments with my Lotu Puff Gold, which is pretty powerful. Also, I've made some experiments with my Yulong DA9, with iBasso DX200 with different amplifiers, and with less powerful dubs. And actually, I think it's more a matter of your subjective preferences, because with some dubs there is a better pairing, with some it's worse, but it's totally subjective, and it's not actually a matter of driving power. Of course, with more high-end players you will receive better sound, because they require good resolution, good control, and so on and so forth. But actually, I've got pretty enjoyable pairing with FIO M7, which is not really powerful model, but of course it's not as good as, for example, with Lotu Puff Gold, but it's really enjoyable. So that's what I can say about the driving power. And of course there is no much sense in using these headphones with something like smartphone or tablet, but with almost any dub with sufficient power they will be really good. Less than 1% of total harmonic distortion, really good figure, 1.8 meter cable, and 420 grams weight. So they are not too heavy, not too light, something in between. Of course it's noticeably better than 700 grams some planar flagships. Inside of this cardboard box there is headphones case. Of course they are not portable, and case is pretty big, but anyway it's a good option for storage. Inside there is a metal plate with serial number and mentioning that there are only 500 pieces were released, limited. Good quick start guide with all details described here. Here is frequency response printed, for example. here we can find that iBasso used Italian leather, so they're not trying to save costs here. So headphones themselves, and of course a cable. So you know, it's absolutely traditional accessory set for full-size headphones. You will have some case, headphones and cable, and not much other stuff with them. Let me adjust camera a little bit, and probably a bit additional zoom. I like this design. Maybe it's not super universal, not super stylish, but it's typical iBasso. It's unusual and pretty efficient. So it's looking nice and but saving some weight. Inside of these rings there is grill protecting everything inside. Cups can be rotated around 2 axes, so you can adjust them this way and this way, so you can find proper positions that will fit your head the best way. Thanks to this semi-open design, your ears won't get overheated when you listen them for a long time. So I spent a few days with these headphones on my head, and zero issues with discomfort or some overheating or something like that. Earpods are really nice, they are soft, really pleasant to touch. You know, I like it. Almost everything is built of metal. Headband has good, properly adjusted clamping force. It's not too weak so headphones won't lose their position, and it's not too hard to clamp your head, causing you a headache. You can adjust size moving this headband, moving these details here, so you can adjust the headband and this way adjust the size. And actually headband itself, made of this Italian leather, is really nice. It's really it's really pleasant to touch, and it's really soft in the same way, so it distributed weight really good, and you won't have problems with this 420 grams of weight. So in terms of design and build quality, I think they are really nice. It's typical iBasso. A bit unusual looking, but very good design and very practical. And another unusual idea from their side, for the cable for these headphones they've used MMCX connectors, because traditional MMCX connectors probably won't hold the weight of the traditional cable. They've used this locking mechanism. I've got a problem with unlocking first time, so you have to insert it, push until it clicks, and then rotate 90 degrees to the direction of this red dot to secure it. And same way here, insert, click, rotate, and that's all. So it's pretty easy. I've had problems with disconnection, and I've even asked question on Head-Fi, but actually disconnection is also pretty simple. You have to rotate it in the opposite direction, and you need just to pull it with appropriate force to disconnect. So connected back. There is already third-party cable released by iBasso. I don't remember, CB14 or CB15, something like that, and probably it will be a better option for these headphones, but I didn't test it yet. Stock cable is pretty good. It's normal in terms of durability and so on, but it's made in fabric coating, so it has light microphonic effect, so when it's touching your clothes you will hear a bit of noise. For me it's not a big issue, but I think it's worth mentioning. So probably cable replacement will give an even better result. So cable goes to the splitter, and after splitter it goes right to this jack. Adapter can be unscrewed, so here is 3.5mm. If you need, here is 6.3mm. So as you can see, build quality, materials, design, I really like it, and it's really done in iBasso style. So as I've said before, they are really comfortable and you're not feeling that weight on your head. And as for sound isolation, actually they are pretty leaking outside. They are noticeably leaking sound outside, but isolate you from outer noise pretty okay. So probably it's not a model for the street wearing or to wear in the office, but actually usually open and semi-open models are not created for that. But it depends on your colleagues' patience actually. And to speak about the sound, first thing I have to note is that they require about 50 or 60 hours of burn-in because they're using this silicone suspension driver, and probably it needs some burn-in. And after that, sound settled and they unveiled its full potential. Actually, I've seen in some reviews that they require a lot of power to be driven properly, but I've made some A/B tests with my Yulong DA9. Maybe it's not the most powerful model, but it's pretty powerful anyway. And I've tried iBasso amps and DAPs and many other models. I try Loto Puff Gold, also really powerful, and I try one of my new toys, QA361. Actually, it's the best option for these headphones, and actually one of the best options if you need pure sound quality, but it's a matter of separate review. So actually they can be driven by some not sensitive model, definitely. There are best pairings, not so good pairings, but I didn't find that additional power is really necessary for them. But of course using them with sources like headphones or iPad isn't the best idea. And of course you can probably expect that, but this plays really good with iBasso own dubs, and probably at this moment I should pull out of my pocket something like iBasso DX120 and show it to you, but actually this time for sound review I've decided to use as an illustration another new arrival. It's Zishan DSD. Of course I didn't use it for critical listening, but anyway, you know, it's a pretty fun and really nicely sounding player. It's really ugly looking, but plays pretty engageable. So it's here for pure illustration purposes only, and let's speak about the sound. iBasso proudly demonstrates frequency response of these headphones on their site, and it's really worth looking at because they are almost linear, at least up to about up to 2 kHz area, so they are linear on the lower part of sonic spectrum, and that's the tuning you usually expect from some planar headphones with all these problems like being super power hungry and so on. But here the models that you can use with almost any normal player with normal power, but receive the same level of sound and same performance and same natural and really resolving sounding that with more expensive models. So it's sonically it's typical iBasso product with the same natural resolving tuning and with a bit of added accent on the upper mids and treble to add a bit sparkle and a bit of airy effect, but actually I will describe this a bit later. So bass here is really good. It's not accented, it's really linear, it has great impact. But it's not accented, as I've said before, so if you like V-shaped signature, it's not a model for you, because bass here, you will have only the bass that is present in the recording. They will not add something more, they will not try to smooth the sound, and so on and so forth. But instead they will give you deep bass with perfect control, with good resolution, with good texturing, with great weight, with nice rumble, and so on. So it's pretty powerful, and it's not overwhelmingly powerful, but when it comes to bass, it's really enjoyable and it has a decent amount. So let me remember how to go back here. As an illustration, let's take what I've got here. Oh yeah, the Prodigy. The Prodigy diesel power. So this track really deserves its name because it's full of low frequencies, low bass drops, going really deep and pumping on these really low frequencies, and these headphones really nailed it perfectly. Maybe I'm not a bass head enough to enjoy accented low frequencies, but with these headphones, and I've got all I need from this track. And actually with let's say some more complex music like orchestral classics, like some heavy metal, you will still get the perfect bass that is really building solid foundation for the whole melody. Mids are also natural, but luckily they are not going too deep into micro details, and they are not sound too clinical and too analytical, but they have great resolution, really natural, and a bit of added sparkle that adds nice effect to vocals, to instruments, and so on. They have good weight of mids, good weight of notes, and good notes transitions, nice mids attacks and decays. I really like that. I really enjoy the weighty mids, but at the same time they are really good in building imaginary stage. They are definitely above the average both in width and in depth. Maybe they are not the most spacious model, but actually they are definitely, maybe not somewhere close, but they are pretty spacious. And they have perfect positioning, and they have nice effect. They are moving vocal a bit forward, so they give you additional depth and additional layering. It sounds also really nicely. As an example, I can name interesting track. Where it is? It's James Brown, his famous concert live at the Apollo, recorded in 1962 and remastered in 2004. And actually every single track here can be a perfect example how live concert should be recorded, because you know it's James Brown is real master in dealing with audience, in communicating with audience, and actually this concert is recorded and remastered really nicely, and you can, with these headphones you can get this sense of big crowd singing with artists, and it's really enjoyable and really engaging experience. And treble here, it's a bit accented, but they really, iBasso really managed to put those accents in the right places. They don't have accent at 8 kHz that gives that metallic and harsh sounding. The accents are put really accurately, and they are not too big. One is at the area about 3-4 kHz that gives presence to female vocals, to some instruments like distorted guitars, and they give a nice sense to all these percussions and so on. And second accent is at the area about 10 kHz that gives you the sense of good treble extension, and they give you all that treble layering, all this airiness, all these attacks and decays and everything like that. So it's really well balanced model. You know, maybe I'm speaking too lot of good things about these headphones, but that's because they really deserve that. As an example, you know, I will take something really famous, Dark Side of the Moon. Well, let's say Time. Everyone knows this track, and you know its beginning, all these clocks, alarms, bells ringing, ticking and so on, and many headphones, even more expensive ones, really failed here, converting to they are really failing in treble layering, and all these bells and alarms sounds really like some high frequency noise. But SR1 maybe not perfectly, you know, because of course some really expensive planars will be better here, but they are really close to that level where that can be called perfection. Just a bit behind this level, but really plays this piece really nicely. So to probably summarize everything, and I won't do any comparisons because I don't have a lot of full-size headphones, just few models that I own. For example, Kennerton Odin, it's totally different, more warmer, with more V-shaped signature. Actually, one model that I can compare this headphones, it's my favorite Audio Zenith PM-X2 second version, and I think it's one of the best headphones I've heard ever, and they are really, well, not really close. They remind this Audio Zenith. Of course, Audio Zenith are a bit better in terms of resolution and especially on treble, but anyway, those are really, well, once again, those are pretty close to that level of performance, and you know, it's a really good model for those who like natural representation, for those who like analytical listening, but without being too dry, too clinical, too aggressive, too sharp. You know, I think iBasso really nailed the trick and really managed to create really capable headphones, and moreover, they priced them really reasonably. Thank you for attention.